Story Manifestor, I'm so glad you're here! On this channel we talk about writing mindset, writing pep talk, and all things storytelling. I'm Leah Falls, writer, actor, and empowerment coach, and today we'll be talking about 3 often overlooked things that you should be doing before jumping into your first draft, just to make sure that it's going to be as easy and successful as possible for you. So let's get started! So you've decided to start your first novel. Fantastic! I'm sure you're already swamped with ideas for the whole planning process. Are you a plotter, a pantser, a planter? What do these terms mean? Which book are you using? Oh my goodness. Okay, I get it. There's a lot of advice. Don't worry, that's not going to be what we're talking about today. Because whichever route you decide to take, if you want to outline everything or decide to just jump in, I encourage you to do these 3 things just to make the journey easier and more fun for you. Number 1, determine your passion entry point. What do I mean by that? You start out with this burning excitement for your story. I mean, that's why you're diving into the writing process. But writing takes a really long time. Your daily moods will shift in between, and there'll be times where you will feel less enthused or less motivated to do it. And also there's the whole problem of the shiny new idea. And it's going to be really tempting to give up on it. That doesn't have to be a problem, but this is when your commitment to your novel and to your story and characters really matters. Finishing a novel and editing it takes both stamina and tenacity. And we don't want to expect that you already have those perfectly down. And if you don't have them and slip, that is a personal failure. How dare you disappoint me? No, that's not very kind to ourselves. So instead, we need to collect tools that help us when the journey gets tougher and that help us push us through, help push through the tough times. Push through. One of these tools is what I call the passion entry point, which is basically what really enthuses and excites you about your story. To find it and really nail it down, I want you to ask yourself a couple of questions. How did the story come to you originally? What drew you to it? Which aspects of the story make you feel fangirly or fanboy or fan-person-y? When you find artwork or songs that remind you of your story, what parts do they remind you of the most often? What does your mind immediately jump to when you see something that could be related to your story? These questions will lead you to the aspect of your story that you need to connect to when you're feeling cold about it. Because it's hard to expect of yourself to care about the whole construction all the time and the process and the writing, but if you find something you're giddy about, that can push you through. Now, this doesn't have to be the obvious answer. Are you writing a political fantasy intrigue, but what really sparked your interest in the story was the beautiful architecture of old parliaments and palace buildings? Cool, let's take that. Close your eyes and picture those rooms. Or just scroll through Pinterest. Whatever floats your boat. Writing a romance, but what you really love about the story is the wittiness of that one character. Alright, put that one character in bizarre situations and then either explore on the blank page or in your head how they would react and just let that wit play out and suck you back into it. Whatever it is, know exactly where your enthusiasm is coming from and let that be the bread trail that leads you back and forward through the dreaded middle part, through the, for me, it's the right after the middle part where I'm like, I feel like I just went over the mountain and I'm not there yet. Fine. Find your passion entry point and connect to that, and then it becomes play again. And as long as it's play, it's much easier. I personally get really attached to relationships, romantic or otherwise, so any kind of relationship between 2 characters gets me really giddy and fangirly, and that puts me right back into the story. Now, my debut novel that's coming out next summer is a dark epic fantasy, so relationship fluff isn't exactly what you'd think my passion entry point would be. I mean, like, wouldn't you just write a romance then? But I don't want to write a romance. And it's honestly, there's not that much romance in the novel. But this passion entry point not only kept my motivation going, it also allowed me to develop the characters outside of the plot a lot. Because when you have things that you're passionate about that aren't specifically the plot and aren't specifically the parts of the story that you're trying to construct, it allows the whole world to live in your brain much freer, and it allows new ideas to come in without forcing them. So find your passion entry point and don't let embarrassment get in the way. All answers are fine here, and it does not have to make sense. Hold on to that spark. Number 2, define your success criteria. Now, I don't mean whether you want to be traditionally published or go the indie route or how many books exactly you want to sell. I personally recommend saving that for later. I know there's some different opinions and I'm a little torn, but that's not what we're talking about here. I want you to finish as many writing sessions as possible feeling absolutely accomplished, feeling like you met your goal. I want you to feel like you're on track throughout the whole journey to avoid overwhelm or burnout. To achieve that, clear expectations and goal setting are key. So how many words are you planning to write per day or per week? Or how many pages are you planning to write with your hand write? Got a number? Cool. Half that. Oh yeah, half it. At the beginning of your journey, you're extra motivated, so that number is slightly higher than you would set in the middle of the journey. But we need a number that will still feel completely doable and keep you motivated halfway through. We need a number that you can reach any day, no matter what mood you're in. I say any day as in any day that is a writing day, and those I recommend keeping them as consistently as possible, but I'm not saying that like you can't get sick, you can't get mental health days. Like, no. But any day you're writing, that's the goal that you should be able to reach. Reach it. When I was writing alongside my day job, I gave myself a daily goal of 400 words throughout the week and a goal of 800 words on weekend days. I wrote my first draft of 170,000 words that way, and it only took me a year and a half to get that first draft done. And I also, that was during working a full-time job, struggling with chronic illness, and having an intercontinental move. So that was a lot of stuff. But I still managed to get it done in a good time frame by using the system of saying, okay, 400 words a day is possible. That's, if you focus for 45 minutes, that should be doable. Now, the point isn't to only write a couple of hundred words a day. The point is to know that you will be able to reach that goal no matter what. That will keep you going and it will motivate you in the long run. And honestly, whenever I do that, I mean, there were so many days when I want to reach the 400 and I made either like 420 or I went out the wazoo and it was like 700 or 1000 or 1500. That happens, but it also happens because you're already thinking that you're successful, so a lot of the stress and pressure is relieved, and that way you striving for more doesn't feel as difficult. Definitely don't go into writing without any goals, because then you risk feeling like you're always behind or like you're always not doing enough. Because in this wonderful writing community, everyone has very different word goals and very different daily word counts, and they depend on so many factors. Like, I was able last year in summer to write between 3,000 and 5,000 words a day. I know, that's a lot. I was in an air-conditioned location. I am not now. And it was a second draft. It had a lot of rewrites, but still, it was new content. But I knew the story very well already. I'm hand writing a novel in a completely different genre, under different conditions, and I'm actually back at like 800 words a day, 800 to 1,000 words a day, because the conditions and the story require something different. So if you don't set yourself your own goals, you risk getting kind of subconsciously the goals of everyone else in. And you hear and see people that, you know, if you connect to the writing community at all, you see people be like, oh, I did a 3K day, I did a 5K day. And then 400 words feel like you're never going to get there. But if that is your goal in the beginning, you know you will, because you're on the track. Another goal setting thing I do that I quite like is I set 3 goals that go up in range, but I title them very specific ways. So for example, 1 puppy 800 words. Puppies playing together, 1,500 words. All the puppies, 2,000 words. Now, even if I just write 800 words, why would it be disappointed? It's a puppy. Come on. Equate your goals with things like that and you'll feel much better about your word count. So sit down with your goals and get clear on what you're expecting. Give yourself the chance to keep your word and then keep showing up for yourself. Please set gentle goals to encourage your progress instead of setting unrealistic expectations and then punishing yourself for not meeting those. Alright? Alright. Number 3, plan a diverse cast. As a planner myself, I'm a huge fan of discovering characters as we go along through the first draft. Me, my characters skipping. Diversity is the exception to this rule. We're so taught to write what we know that it's very easy to approach a story and characters with our own cultural lens. Of course, we should all diversify our everyday lives and our friend circles and feeds. But even in the best efforts, and unless you're very social, chances are that you're not going to have every marginalized and diverse group represented in your circle, unless you're very social. No, people! Are they still there? Point is, bubbles exist. And unless your story specifically is about a bubble and takes place in a bubble, the real world is way more beautifully diverse than that. And your story needs to reflect that. To do so, before you really start writing, ask yourself a couple of questions. If you're white, consider what other races and ethnicities your characters, either the ones that you planned in your outline or the ones that you're vaguely thinking might appear in your story, have, just so that they don't all end up being white. If you're straight, consider what other sexualities and romantic orientations might appear in your story. If you're cisgender, which means that the gender that you've been assigned to at birth aligns with your gender, then consider including some trans people and non-binary characters in your story. If you're of one nationality, consider including another one. If you have specific religious belief or are an atheist, consider what different belief systems your characters might have. If you're neurotypical, consider including neurodivergent people. These are the questions that are really worth asking before fully diving into the story. For example, I'm white, so when I first started writing, a lot of my cast was too. Fortunately, I noticed this early enough and I was able to go back to the drawing board, and now in my new work in progress, that didn't happen anymore. While most things are revisable in the second draft and in the coming drafts, diversity runs the risk of being very disrespectful when it's just added on later. At that point, your character has a unique perspective, culture, and upbringing attached to them, and these identity factors would have influenced those. You'll be fine doing a base level of research for your first draft, but just make sure you have decided on the identity factors before your character opens up their mouth for the first time and talks and appears. This is also a great moment to pay attention to the intrinsic biases you carry. What do you consider the standard and normal, and why? And how does it show up in your story? Being aware of those things as you go into writing will save you a lot of pain later on. And I want to make clear here, this is nothing to feel bad about. This is a beautiful opportunity to grow. So if you've already started writing, for example, and realize, oh gosh, my whole cast is white, it's okay. Just go back to the drawing board and before you go through the whole first draft, reconsider it. Because it's so important to embrace these learning moments instead of reject them or feel shame and guilt around them. And honestly, this is something I really, really love about writing. I feel like our storytelling teaches us a lot of things as well. And it sometimes reflects things in ourselves that we hadn't realized before. Now, I'm really against self-inserts. I'm probably going to make a video about that at some point. But I'm saying is that we feed the story and the story feeds us back. And that is a beautiful mutual growth relationship. And hence, don't feel guilty. Don't feel guilty if you had intrinsic biases. That's how we're all conditioned. That's why it's called inner work. Please do make sure though to include diverse representation, because representation changes lives and it makes people feel heard and seen, which is a universal and completely vital human need. Give your writing the chance to fulfill this need for a lot of people. So once you have an idea for the story and are ready to jump in, be sure that it reflects the beautiful diversity of our real world. And then after you finish all your drafts and self-edits, make sure that you find diverse beta readers, or consider hiring a sensitivity reader like myself. If you're interested in that, I will link my website and my sensitivity reading services in the description. Diverse beta readers and sensitivity readers can really help you nail down the representation and make sure that it's not unintentionally disrespectful. Or intentional. If it's intentionally disrespectful, I think we can't help you. And people! Wonderful! You now know the 3 things that you shouldn't skip when writing your first novel. Do you know what that means? It's time to write! It's time to write! It's time to write! Yes, it's time to write. Write those words, story manifestor. You got this. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like in the comment and subscribe. In the comments, let's keep the conversation going. In the comments, tell me about your goal setting strategies. If you've tried any of these tips, what your passion entry point is. Oh my goodness, yes, let's talk about that. And what do you have learned when writing about diversity in fiction? No, when writing diversity. Let's leave it in the comments. Let's keep this thought train going. You can find us on Instagram at storymanifestors, and our website is storymanifestors.com. As I previously mentioned, I offer sensitivity reading services, as well as manuscript critiques, empowerment coaching, and a good chunk of other things, so do go check it out. My personal Instagram is this one, Leah.fox, and I also have an Instagram, Forgotten Splinters, for my upcoming epic fantasy book series, Forgotten Splinters Chronicles. The first book's going to be out next June, and on the Instagram account I'm fostering a bit of a fantasy community with some fun quotes, some memes, some fantasy inspo. So if inspo, can you say inspo just by itself? Inspo. So if you're interested in that, go check it out. It was great talking to you. I hope you're taking care of yourself, and I'm really excited that you're here and starting your writing journey with me. Have a great week.